Hard launch initiated.
Deploying equipment package.
Freedom requires firepower. Tagging map. North, 100 meters. Deploying SOS beacon.
Sub-objective in your vicinity.
Illuminate. North. Package fire! Dropping a pin. Northwest. 200 meters.
In the sky!
Dropping package. I've got the package.
Allied destroyer joining squadron. Deploying Helldiver to combat zone.
Requesting jetpack. Dropping a pin. North. 100 meters. Dropping package. Calling in orbital strike.
Illuminate outpost destroyed.
Package acquired. Dropping package. 200 meters. Tagging map. Northeast.
Objective located. Never mind. Northeast.
Danger.
Activating just now.
Calling down a sentry.
Squid outpost. Calling in an orbital strike.
Dropping package.
Illuminate outpost erased.
Package fire.
Dropping a pin. Northeast. 100 meters.
Requesting orbital strike! Package acquired!
Objective complete.
Tagging that. Northeast, 200 meters.
Found something! There's something here.
To the skies.
Last reload.
Sample collected. Found something.
Got a sample. Dropping package. Two back.
Allied destroyer joining squadron, deploying Helldiver to combat zone.
Throwing grenade. Package acquired. Objective located. Bag's empty. Two back.
Dropping a pin. South. 100 meters.
Dropping a pin. Southeast, 200 meters. Get some! Get some! Found something!
Calling down a sentry.
Dropping package! Package acquired!
Requesting orbital strike.
Found something!
Allied destroyer has left the squadron.
Found something! Habitation democracy!
combat zone.
Requesting orbital! Holding in orbital strike!
Orbital strike incoming.
Eagle! Bag's empty! Going down!
Tagging map. Southwest. 200 meters.
I'm on it! I got the terminal! Flash reload!
Found something.
You have been a stalwart line of freakers. Extract when ready.
Dropping pin. South. 200 meters.
Dropping a pin. West. 300 meters.
Found something. Calling down a sentry. Found something.
Reloading!
Requesting sentry.
Calling down a sentry! Requesting air support! Requesting orbital strike!
Orbital strike incoming.
No divers left behind!
Tagging map. South. 200 meters.
Tagging map. South. 200 meters.
Found something.
Freedom forever! Reloading! Going down a sentry! Requesting sentry! about a nice cup of liberty! Calling in reinforcements! Calling in reinforcements! Point me to the enemy. Calling down a sentry. New mag. Calling in extraction.
Extraction request confirmed. Shuttle inbound.
Illuminate south. Requesting sentry.
ETA T-minus 1 minute.
Orbital inbound.
ETA T-minus 30 seconds.
Ending enemy. Marking location. Southeast.
ETA T-minus 20 seconds. ETA T-minus 10 seconds.
Helldivers, reporting to the front.
Sending in an eagle.
Pelican 1 approaching pickup. Get some! Get some! How'd you like to taste of freedom? Pelican 1 preparing to depart. Shuttle launch in 20 seconds.
Reinforcement budget depleted.
Extraction complete. Pelican 1 beginning ascent.
One step closer to a galaxy purged of xenophobia. Do not let fear stop you. We need not understand their ways in order to annihilate them.
Deploying equipment package.
Requesting backpack. Full weapon inbound. Calling down support weapon. Dropping a pin. North, 100 meters. Calling down a sentry. like to taste for freedom? Last reload. Tagging map, west, 100 meters. Get some! Get some! Reloading! Orbital incoming.
Firing orbital barrage. Clear the area. Outpost destroyed.
Dropping a pin. East, 100 meters. Requesting orbital.
Firing orbital barrage. Clear the area.
Last reload.
Allied destroyer joining squadron. Deploying Helldiver.
How'd you like to taste some freedom? Out of ammo!
Objective critical stratagem no longer available.
Sending out an extra!
Stratagem available. Objective critical stratagem no longer available.
Throwing grenade!
Allied destroyer joining squadron. Deploying Helldiver to combat zone. Objective critical stratagem available.
Tagging map, northeast, close.
Objective critical stratagem available.
I'm on the terminal. Going down a sentry! Objective located. Calling down a sentry! You're back!
Engaging terminal.
Mission progress logged.
Tagging location. West. Dropping a pin. East, 100 meters. Tagging map. East, 200 meters. Requesting sentry. Supplies. Supplies. New mag. Went outpost spotted. Reinforcing. Southeast, 50 meters. Reinforcing.
Request approved. Reinforcements on the way.
Point me to the enemy. Orbital inbound. Not today! Requesting orbital.
Orbital barrage incoming. Stand clear.
Calling in reinforcements. Going down a support weapon. Reinforcing! Heavy, northeast. in reinforcements!
Shit.
Reinforcing! Dropping a pin, east, 300 meters. Reporting to the front.
That was an accident.
Good.
Dropping a pin, west, on my position.
Calling in reinforcements!
Ready to liberate!
Calling down a sentry! Requesting sentry!
Main objective near your position.
Fire in the hole!
Oh, what the hell?
Calling in reinforcements.
Request approved. Reinforcements on the way.
Joining the fray! Watching orbital!
Firing orbital barrage. Clear the area.
Oh, what a nice top! Oh, liberty! Throwing grenade! Calling in reinforcements!
That.
Request approved. Reinforcements on the way.
What injury?
North, 200 meters.
Engaging terminal! New man! Activating jump pad!
I knew they wouldn't abandon us.
Calling down a
Calling down a sentry. Squid outpost spotted.
requesting sentry.
Found something. Requesting orbital strike.
Sweet liberty. It's the Helldivers.
Illuminate. Northwest.
Mission at 20 minutes remaining.
The Helldivers are here.
Huh?
Sweet liberty.
Illuminate. North. 50 meters. Requesting air support.
The Helldivers are here.
Squid outpost destroyed.
Orbital inbound!
Orbital
Requesting
barrage
orbital.
incoming. Stand clear.
How about a nice cup of liberty?
Protect us.
Throwing supply beacon!
Another triumph for managed democracy.
Now you-
May liberty guide your safe extraction.
New man! Reloading! To the sky! Orbital inbound!
Sending in an eagle.
Blasting advanced weaponry!
Objective near your position.
Heavy. South, 100 meters.
Habitation of democracy! Requesting orbital!
Stratagem available.
Bag's empty!
Objective critical stratagem. Extraction is available.
Activating
Calling in a
attacking
hellbomb.
location. North.
Tactical asset near your location.
Active fire!
Hellbomb armed. Clear the area.
Dropping pack! Rare sample collected! Package acquired! Dropping package! New mag!
I got the terminal.
Orbital inbound! Last reload! Get some! Get some! Dropping a pin. East, 100 meters. Calling down a sentry!
Tagging map. East, 100 meters.
Calling down a sentry! Calling in extraction!
Mission at 10 minutes remaining. Extraction request confirmed. Shuttle inbound.
Calling down supply! Calling down a support weapon!
budget depleted.
Extraction complete. Pelican 1 beginning ascent.
The squids will find no purchase here. The illuminate reign of terror ends today.
Deploying equipment package.
Freedom requires firepower.
Requesting sentry.
In the sky! Tagging map, northwest, 100 meters. Sending out an SOS! Rolling down fortifications!
Freedom forever!
Allied destroyer joining squadron. Deploying Helldiver. Objective nearby. Objective critical stratagem available.
Calling in a hell zone!
Calling down support weapons.
I got the terminal!
Squid outpost spotted.
Hellbomb armed! Clear the area!
Objective complete.
Watching orbital!
Orbital barrage incoming. Stand clear.
You'll never destroy our way of life!
An outpost destroyed.
Northwest, heavy! North. Fire in the hole!
Oh shit, hell came out of nowhere.
Calling in reinforcements.
Request approved. Deploying reinforcements.
Point me to the enemy! Mag's empty!
Request approved. Reinforcements have been launched.
Joining the fray!
Allied destroyer moving squadron.
Orbital inbound! How about a nice cup of liberty? Changing ice!
Calling in orbital strike.
Fire in the hole!
God.
Reinforcing!
Allied destroyer joining squadron, deploying Helldiver.
Sample collected! Dropping a pin, north, 100 meters. Tagging map. Northwest, 300 meters. Going down at the northwest. Throwing supply kit.
Objective nearby.
Found something! Orbital inbound!
Firing orbital barrage. Clear the area.
Calling in a hell bomb. Hell bomb armed. Clear the area.
Objective complete.
For prosperity! Last reload!
Objective near your position.
Dropships. Southeast.
Freedom forever!
Requesting sentry.
Found something! Watching orbital!
Objective critical stratagem available. Objective critical stratagem no longer available.
How'd you like to chase all freedom? broken!
Requesting orbital strike.
Mag's empty!
Requesting sentry.
Mag's empty!
Sending in an eagle.
Fire in the hole! Freedom forever! Tagging map, south, 100 meters. Reinforcing! We'll never destroy our way of life! How'd you like to taste of freedom? New mag! Throw a grenade!
You've done your duty. You may be scrapped with honor.
Tagging map, north, 200 meters. How'd you like to chase for freedom? Activating compact. Reloading!
Illuminate. Northwest.
Squid outpost spotted! Orbital inbound!
Mission at 20 minutes remaining.
Requesting orbital! Calling down a sentry!
Proceed to extraction when ready.
Shit.
Orbital inbound. How about a nice cup of liberty? Joining the fray. Going down fortification. Reloading. Dropping a pin. East, 100 meters. Requesting sentry.
Marking location. Vehicle.
Calling down a sentry.
Calling in extraction. Requesting fortification.
Extraction shuttle inbound.
Back inbound. Supplies. Calling down a sentry. Calling down fortification. Helldivers.
T-minus 1 minute, 30 seconds.
Reinforcing.
ETA T-minus 1 minute. ETA T-minus 30 seconds.
Calling down fortification.
ETA T-minus 20 seconds. ETA T-minus 10 seconds.
Pelican 1 arriving at coordinates.
people. So I hope I get fact-checking this, because my biggest objective is to try to get to objective truth. And what I do know objectively is that the apartheid and the oppression that's been happening for the past 75 years is not something that's sustainable within the region of Gaza. So I think the claim is precisely worded in a way to make it seem like anyone that sits here is saying, I support every single action that's done by Hamas. And I want to make clear that my big reason in sitting in contention to your claim is to say that the framing is very intentional. And the moral outrage that's put on colonized resistance is doing the bidding of Israel and the oppression structure. So it's important to me to recognize what are the real causes of these types of violence. It's a state that does not allow aid. It controls the food and water. It has restrictive access to people's freedom of movement. It's controlling the ports. And the list could go on and on about why people feel like they have no other means in order to fight back. You said in the claim, armed resistance is not an effective strategy. What are we seeing with the nonviolent actions? The BDS movement has been condemned internationally by many different states. This is not something that's going to lead to the liberation of Palestinian people. We need to challenge the power structure of the United States and its support of the regime. That's the only way to stop the violence that continues to occur within both regions.
Well, I really do appreciate your concern for the Palestinian people, and we need non-Palestinian allies to be a part of the broader effort. And we need a multi-pronged strategy. My thing with armed resistance is that as the weaker party in a conflict like what we're seeing in Israel and Palestine, particularly in the Gaza Strip, where you have a vulnerable population that has been under, on the one hand, a sense of isolation for almost 2 decades, and on the other hand, the control of a nefarious terrorist organization and that has Islamized the society, if I may finish please, that has pushed the Palestinian people to the brink of catastrophe. I think there's an extra onus. I am a believer that you have a responsibility, you being Hamas and Palestinian leadership, have a responsibility to be a good custodian of your people. You do not poke a government that has Ben-Gvir and Smotrich in it and carry out the single worst attack on the Jewish people since the Holocaust and expect things not to go horribly for you. So that's number one. Number two is the monopolizing of the word resistance. And I added armed resistance because guess what? Of course, I believe in different forms of resistance. Unfortunately, in today's context, the word resistance has become monopolized to almost exclusively mean Hamas and violence and terrorism.
I have to interject here, and I appreciate everything that you've said, but if you've seen, even in demonstrations in Gaza, there have been multiple protests saying that Hamas is not effective leadership. So to say that Hamas is representative of the Palestinians' approval is not something that you can say wholeheartedly. Again, I think you focusing on Hamas is doing the bidding of Israel. We need to talk about how we're going to end the occupation. That needs to be done by multiple countries coming together in support of a people that's been oppressed for almost a century now.
That is a brilliant point that you just brought. That is precisely what I'm desperately
but your focus here,
do.
and you're coming here, is focusing on Hamas. Because October 7th is not an isolated event. You don't get October 7th without October 1948, without October 1967, and every day that's happened since then, under 75 days of occupation, suppression, and siege. The bombings, the indiscriminate killings of civilians is not something that's sustainable. And if you look proportionally at how many people died on October 7th, which I don't know how many people would justify civilian death, but if you look at those numbers versus what has been happening in Gaza since the occupation started, this is not a proportionate conflict. And I don't even like using the term conflict, because conflict, it assumes that there's two equal, equivocal positions. This is colonization, and that's not something that's justified. Why are we critiquing the actions of the colonized people instead of those that are doing the colonizing in the first place?
I respectfully disagree with the idea that this had a starting point, a tactical starting point on October 7th, whereby a specific act that was a choice triggered where we're at right now. And if I may say, what I'm
It sounds like you're saying the
trying to
best
do-
strategy of the Palestinian people is to lay back and just let Israel do what they want. You
may I-
can't fight back. You can't try to have any sort of action against your oppressors. Just take it. Take the genocide until they feel like they can get it.
Thank you for coming through. Appreciate it. Thank you, brother. I hear you. Thank you.
So first off, my condolences to all your family members who we lost. I'm also from Gaza. I'm from the Osgood family who was from Yafa as well, and I used to live in Gaza as well. I left in 2001 during the second Intifada, which I believe you were there. Nearly lost your life by an Israeli airstrike. Your two friends were killed in front of you, I believe, and this left you partially deaf. Am I correct? Hamas wasn't in charge yet at that time, were they?
They were rising, but no, they were not in charge. But they were very much so rising.
But so during this Intifada, which by the way I think Fatah and the Palestinian Preventive Security have initiated this or added to it. But during this time, PLO, the PA, Fatah was in charge of Gaza, and Israel is the one who killed your family. Israel is the one who killed your friends, right? Israel is the one who left you with PTSD, and I commend you for being public about that and sharing that information. But when I was there living in Gaza, I remember Mohammed al-Durra when he was killed. I was 3 years old. I vividly remember that. It's one of my earliest memories. All I can think of was why was this little boy killed in his father's lap, right? So, and again, who killed him? Israel. Israel is the reason why Palestinians are suffering and have been suffering for over 77 years. So I wanted to talk about armed resistance because that was a claim. Armed resistance is a right under international law. We need to look at the reason why there's armed resistance in the first place, right? So context matters. So Israel, being the occupier, having a military occupation of Gaza, the West Bank, Israel increasing its settlements, Israel being an apartheid state, Israel making our lives hell, not looking at us as humans. This is the root cause of the issue, and armed resistance is a byproduct of all this garbage. Hamas formed in 1987 during the first Intifada, right? So they formed as an armed resistance group in 1987. There would be no need for resistance if there wasn't a military occupation. So, do you have anything to add?
And first of all, delighted to finally speak to a fellow Gazan like that. Even when we disagree, that to me is far more important than, with all due respect to some other allies that suck up the oxygen out of the room, that feel the need to speak over Palestinians, that act in a very disrespectful manner. I appreciate you being here. And so, do you know that in the 80s, when Hamas was born out of Mujamma al-Islami, the Islamic complex, their budget came out of the military governor, that the Israeli military system that ran the military occupation. Their budget was literally allocated to them by the military governor. Their first victims for this resistance group in the 1980s were women in Shara Omar al-Mukhtar street to wear the hijab to cover themselves up, and suspected traitors and collaborators with the Israeli army and the Israeli police. In the 1980s, before they laid a finger on an Israeli soldier or an Israeli settler in Gaza, Palestinians were the first victims of Hamas, which is so classic of the Muslim Brotherhood offshoots, so classic of the ISIS and Al-Qaeda style thinking of Sayyid Qutb and all those people. But let's put that aside. 2005, if you want to support armed resistance, I'm playing a hypothetical here. Was there not an opportunity to say, okay, the Israeli military and the settlers are directly out in pockets that they reposition the troops around Gaza, we can talk about all that. This was a unique opportunity to say, okay, armed resistance in Gaza is done. We are now in the nation building phase. We are now in the phase to turn Gaza into the pride and joy of the Palestinian people, to turn Gaza into a role model for what an occupation-free West Bank would look like. What did we get instead? Instead, we enabled the far-right elements in Israel to say, oh my God, no, and I'm not saying I agree with this, but say, oh my God, we can't end the occupation in the West Bank because they'll turn it just like in Gaza. So that's that. And then finally, I will say that when you are the weaker party, the onus is on you to protect your people. A resistance that fails, a resistance that is there to not protect its people. Gaza is the first place in history where the resistance...
If I can add one more thing. Sorry, real quick. Please. So this 2005, when Israel withdrew from Gaza, they didn't end the occupation of Gaza. They switched the style of occupation. So Israel still controls the borders, the airspace, the land, what's coming in, what's going out. It made Gaza a living hell. In 2012, the UN said Gaza will be unlivable by 2020. You know, it's 2025 now, and clearly, like, they destroyed all aspects of life, all aspects of infrastructure, hospitals, schools. I've lost over hundreds of family members. As young as 3 months old, Hanan Asur, she was 3 months old and she was killed. She was not part of the mass, clearly. And we lost people like in their 80s, you know? So I've lost my grandfather. He also died as a result of the siege on Gaza. And by the way, right now, there's over a 2-month blockade of no food, no humanitarian aid, no water coming into Gaza by Israel. And the world is just watching it. This is insane. The ICC has issued arrest warrants for Netanyahu and Gallant because of war crimes against the people of Gaza.
Do you believe that Hamas bears any responsibility in our people's suffering?
This is a byproduct of Israeli occupation. By the way, before October 7th, from 2007 till October 7th, 2023, over 6,700 Palestinians were killed by Israel because of the 4 major assaults that Israel launched on Gaza. By the way, not to mention the siege on Gaza as well. So I wasn't able to see my grandfather. Last time I saw him, I was 4 years old, and he died in 2024. I wasn't able to see him because of the siege. He couldn't leave, and I couldn't go visit Gaza. So this is impacting all aspects of life. You expect people to like worship their occupiers? You know, no one's gonna go kiss their ass if they've been killing us, displacing us, and starving us, and killing our children, making our children orphans, without limbs. Like this is, you gotta be realistic here. You know?
No one said anything about loving what Israel is doing. All I'm saying is that I think a variety of different actions and strategic choices by Hamas and others in Gaza could have led to radically different choices.
But how do we make peace with people who don't even see us as humans? Why do we even talk to people who don't? They don't care about me. They don't care about you. They look at us as goyim and all this bullshit. They look at us as like Gentiles.
I would respectfully disagree in that I have made contacts. You cannot paint the entirety of the Israeli society and community with a singular brush. Just like we can't paint all Palestinians. They unfortunately have not talked to anyone from Gaza. And I have made a point of connecting with hostage families, with survivors of October 7th.
Why talk with a boot on the neck? You understand?
It's not a boot. It's an equalized relationship. Thank you, brother. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you, doctor. Nice to meet you.
How you doing?
All right.
My name is Dr. Ahmed Subo. I'm from Bethlehem, Palestine. Before I start, I'd like to ask you to look around, the circle around you. People from different backgrounds, ethnicities, cultures. They're not sucking the air out of the Palestinians. They're a source of oxygen to every single person in Gaza. When they speak out on school campuses, when they speak out in their workplaces, when they object to the genocide, that the government that you're trying to take excuses and legitimacy to kill our own people, they are a source of hope for the kids of Gaza. I don't know if you've seen the videos from the schools from the kids of Gaza thanking every single school and campus for their support, their strong stance against the genocide. So that's number one. Number two, you are telling us that you have a special or a different kind of resistance that you'd like our people to take. Would you please share and enlighten us with that form of resistance? Especially that I doubt that you participated in BDS. I doubt that you participated in any peaceful resistance against the brutal occupation that you're trying to legitimize, and you're trying to give them excuses for killing 100,000 Palestinians in Gaza. For a moment, you just mentioned right now that it was the Israeli military government that supported Hamas. Yet, you're not saying anything negative about that government. Imagine for a moment it was the Saudi government that gave money to Hamas. I bet you'll be the most vocal critic of that government. Yet, you did not say anything about the Israeli government and the brutality in killing our own people, your own family members. So my question to you, what would you suggest to my family in the West Bank where there's no Hamas and yet they're still being killed, persecuted, living in economical prison, that they cannot step out from their cities more than 2 miles away from their homes? What would you suggest for them to do against this brutality?
Well, it's unfortunate you assume that I've never been a part of any efforts.
Tell me what it is.
I'm going to, because I have, in fact, I believe it or not, I was actually in the San Francisco Bay Area where I lived for many years once I left Gaza. I was part of Students for Justice in Palestine. I was part of the local Jewish Voice for Peace effort. I was part of BDS. I went to the Sabil conference every year that was talking about BDS efforts. I gave my money to these organizations. I was a very vehement.
You repented? It was a mistake?
Are you going to let me speak, or are you going to be patronizing?
No, I'm so sorry. I apologize. That wasn't my point. My point is that you memorize certain words and certain points, and you're trying to propaganda here.
But
my question to you is, what do you think right now? What do you suggest to my people in Bethlehem to do to resist the brutality of Israel?
I'm going to get there, but I would implore you to please afford me the respect.
Because the time, we don't want to
fact.
have sermons and rhetoric. Just tell me straightforward, what do you suggest they should do?
What I would suggest they should do is to persevere on the land that they have called home for decades and generations, and to not let armed resistance
and be
come
shooting
in.
ducks, sitting ducks being shot by the Israeli snipers.
And to not let Hamas, because unfortunately, if you engage in armed resistance, that is simply going to give the settlers and the army, the Israeli army, the excuse.
Oh no,
to
I
come
agree
in.
with you. I have no problem with that. My question is, when you see a rabid dog in front of you, you're not going to say, "Hey, little puppy, give me a kiss."
That's not
right.
right.
You're going to defend yourself. And the truth is, and the history showed us, that when you put so much oppression and persecution on top of a group of people, eventually they're going to explode. And that's what's happening. We're not saying that, no, I agree with you. But
So how about we separate, as a first step, we separate the just and urgent aspirations of the Palestinian people from the corrupted armed resistance narrative of Hamas. Number one. Number two, we actually come up with a cohesive national strategy for a nonviolent resistance. We don't need the images of dead. My family are not to be consumed.
It was not a propaganda.
My
With all due
family
respect,
are not.
If someone is using propaganda, it's the Israelis
My
saying the
family-
hostages' names and their pictures, and look, and they're trying to gain the sympathy from Americans.
I share images on my socials of the horrendous settler behavior that is abhorrent,
Thank you.
that is criminal.
Thank you.
That is criminal. You asked about the allies and the folks. At the end of the day, what have the encampments achieved?
Oh
Beyond-
my goodness! The
beyond-
fact that we have 20 people here from different factions of lives, that's an achievement.
Talk
the
to me
fact,
about results.
The fact
Talk
that
to me about results.
the fact that there's so much money are poured into trying to refute this movement and this wave of young, brave people and students to defend the Palestinians, it's freaking them out. They're panicking, the Knesset, they're panicking the Israeli government because of what's happening because of these young people. So I take my hat off to each one of them and I tell them thank you for standing up for my rights and my people's rights.
The divisive rhetoric that has emerged from a lot of the pro-Palestine activism has pushed away vital allies on the Israeli and the Jewish side of
I'd
the
rather
divide.
gain the billions of people around the world and give up those few thousands or few hundreds of Israelis, Salam Achshav and Peace Now and all that. These are only a small fringe minority. Even when you talk, I deal with the interfaith community all the time. And when I sit with the Jewish community here in America, and they tell me, you know what? Jewish Voices for Peace, they're just a fringe in the community, in the Jewish community. They're just a small minority, and it's smaller even inside Israel. With all due respect to the people that you met, and I thank them for that. But if it's a trade, I would trade the billions of people around the world, the thousands of people on campuses in the US, for the few hundreds inside Israel who are speaking up for the Palestinians.
This might be a head shocker to you. I talk to the mainstream Zionist community and plant seeds of humanization, mutual empathy and humanization. There's no Palestinian freedom without winning over mainstream support within Israel, like our community did in the 1990s.
I would wish for you, you know what I would wish for you? To be, hopefully, the Gandhi of the Palestinians. You have the haircut?
I have an afro, by the way. I choose this haircut, but I have an afro.
But I promise you, if your path would be able to free the Palestinian people, I'll be the first one to support it. But we've seen it over and over in history. When people are brutally being killed, massacred, siege, like what's happening to Palestinians, we're not planning for firearm resistance. We're not doing that. It's just a natural outcome of what the Israelis been doing. My request to you is, as much as you are harsh on the Palestinians, try to be a little bit harsh on the Israelis. Try to stand up and speak up for your own people, and try to say that what the Israelis are doing, they could have stopped the genocide after October 7th. And they should have said, you know what? We are not going to do what Hamas did, and we're going to try to solve the problem in a better way. But to go out of their way and kill hundreds of thousands of Palestinians, not 50,000. There's so many under the rubble still they cannot find their bodies. Just they should be the civilized people. They should say, you know, we're not going to go to that level, and we're not going to do that. So I hope your message and your peaceful path will work, because I am for it as well. But I cannot stop people who are being shot and killed every day for the past 16 years in Gaza to tell them, you know what, just sit down and wait for your turn to be shot and killed. I cannot tell them that.
I appreciate where you're coming from, and I appreciate the diversity within our community of the perspective and how to approach this. But what is so frustrating since October 7th is that there has been a sense of an enforced conformity within our society, within our people, that a lot of the folks from the outside, a lot of the academics, a lot of the non-Palestinian voices have added to it, whereby I have had tens of thousands of messages from Israelis across the spectrum, folks, including even reservists who have served in Gaza, who say, you know what? You single-handedly helped me realize that there are actually innocent people in the Gaza Strip. That might sound...
That is sad.
But you know what?
It takes someone like you for them to believe there are innocent people in Gaza. That is very sad.
I agree. But we have to start somewhere.
We are starting. Those movements on campuses, those demonstrations, they are starting. We might disagree.
Campuses are making it 50 times worse. They are further dehumanizing our people, and they are supporting Hamas armed resistance.
I met those young, amazing kids and students. They're amazing.
I'm going to stop you guys because this leads into our next claim. Time is up. You may return
Thank
to
you
your
very
seat.
much.
Hey, before we go any further, we want to take a moment to say thanks so much to Straight Arrow News for powering the fact checks in this video. Straight Arrow News is on a mission to raise the bar on journalism in a time of media bias and mistrust. Straight Arrow News helps you quickly find trusted information you need to understand the news, allowing you to dive deep into the topics that matter to you and the world around you. Their work is trying to break the bias bubble, helping you understand how every side of the political spectrum is reporting on a story so you get a full picture of the news. That's why we're so happy to be partnering with Straight Arrow News. They deliver the facts, unbiased, balanced, and designed to make sense of a complex world, getting you the clarity you deserve and news you can trust. Go to san.com/surrounded or click the link in the description to check it out. By clicking that link, you're not just supporting this channel. You also take advantage of a better way to get the news. Welcome back to Trustworthy Journalism. Thanks again to Straight Arrow News for partnering with us on this episode. Now, let's get into it.
My next claim is that angry protests in the West are not helpful to the Palestinian people in Gaza.
Thank you.
Hi, Saba.
Hi.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Okay. I think it's really disheartening to see you refer to them as angry and hateful, because I, as someone who just graduated from UC San Diego, actually created something called the Special Committee of Human Rights with a policy of ethical spending. And you know what we were branded as in every single newspaper? As anti-Semitic. Despite anyone being able to use these kind of things to kind of bring up any concerns to their student government and ultimately led to divestment. We also know that the heart of every single social movement is the student-led movement. And through student-led movements, we're able to teach and learn. One of the chants that we have is like, remember South Africa, remember Vietnam. And through these student protests and student activism, we're able to teach things. Like how multiple of the African settlers from South Africa after the downfall of the apartheid state actually converted to Judaism and then moved to Palestine and now somehow have a more legitimate claim in Palestine than a Palestine, which is insane. On top of that, I wanted to talk about everything that these movements can teach. You bring up the also course all the time, but what we were able to learn on campus through student organizing and people who are very well versed in these subjects from professors and academics is like, hey, also towards what happened to Yitzhak Rabin, murdered. By who? A far-right Israeli. On top of that, Yasser Arafat, Al Jazeera did an entire documentary showing how he was murdered. Why aren't these things talked about in normal media? And the student movement brings it to the forefront. The UCs know how much power that the student movements have, that they have a whole page saying how the UC students helped end apartheid. And Israel is an illegal apartheid state, and the students are standing up to that. Why is that wrong?
So I share your desire to see a strong pro-Palestine activism community on college campuses. And that is in fact why I, on all my socials, start with saying that I am pro-Palestine. That is literally what my bio says. But I want to redefine what it means to be pro-Palestine in the context of college activism. I unfortunately have seen a consistent devolution of a lot of what could otherwise be unique opportunities to drum up support for the just and urgent aspirations of the Palestinian people's the pursuit of statehood, of dignity, of freedom. A lot of these encampments and the way that they've devolved into vandalism, into obstructions, into a divisive display.
Name one encampment with a lot of destruction and violence that
UCLA that I went to myself.
The Zionists were the ones who bashed in students' heads, lit up fireworks, threw mice into these encampments to torment students, and constantly. Just this past week, they tried playing a movie screening on campus to show the encampments filmed on campus. They were met with multiple police officers all throughout the region. They arrested students, and the Zionists went around playing videos of babies crying on loud blast.
I was at the UCLA encampment last year when it happened, and I saw in the aftermath of the encampment both at UCLA and at multiple
Is vandalism unique only to the Palestinian movement, or did every single social movement take drastic measures like the encampments, which were popped up during the Vietnam War and South Africa? This isn't new to these universities. In fact, they tout them as successes. So
I don't want the Palestinian cause that's already associated with so much negativity by the West in the Western world to be associated with more divisive rhetoric.
It's heartbreaking, like you said, to see these images of our family members, but that won't move people. That doesn't, and I'm not for vandalism. In fact, it's against my religion to vandalize things that aren't mine. It's against it. And you see, we can't be, people are outraged, and this is not unique to the Palestinian movement, right? It shouldn't happen, but it is what it takes for universities to recognize that the students want something to change because they are the active funders and perpetuators of this illegal occupation. I, through peaceful means, was able to divest. Through peaceful means, was able to work through the student government, and I'm working towards that. But what was I labeled as? Hateful and anti-Semitic, despite me creating something that any student of any background can do. So I think it's very, I'm going through peaceful means, and I've been doing through peaceful means, but look at how we're being branded.
Look at how somebody like myself, I have gone to multiple college campuses since October 7th, and the amount of hatred, the amount of incitement against me, the amount of
people don't feel safe in your presence in those encampments. I'm not saying it's justified. By all means, do not get me wrong.
But this is excuse me. I need to speak. The ability to express a divergent Palestinian view has been systematically suppressed by the pro-Palestine activism.
I disagree. The Palestinian view, I am not able to get half the facts that I just said out in any mainstream media. I have done countless media interviews for 30, 40 minutes, and I get a 2-second soundbite. Why is that?
I get interrupted at many of my talks. I have had threats of violence at UCSF. At Drew University, I was being attacked by students. At Ithaca College,
let's talk about the definition
I had
of
to have
protest.
I had to have
Protest means
security.
to testify and to put forth.
A literal pro-Palestine, a literal pro-Palestine self-identifying Palestinian from Gaza, a young Muslim Arab gentleman who lost family members, who is saying, I want to honor the legacy of my fallen family members, to connect.
Led movement puts forth and challenges the status quo on things that aren't taught in traditional classrooms because the Palestinian cause is so censored.
The frame of the question was helping people in Gaza. Give me one example in which this helped stop the war in Gaza.
Oh, absolutely.
Save the single
UC
life.
Riverside, they just divested. And again, UC,
How does that stop?
I will
How
tell
does
you,
that stop the war?
all of these are, it's piece by piece. Of course, you know the war won't stop overnight. It's our tax dollars, billions of them that have been going to Israel since its inception, and these universities that take part in it through weapons. Actually, UCSD does research for weapons manufacturing. Imagine if they all of a sudden stopped having the weapons that they're using to kill our family.
Israel has an elaborate defense industry.
No. There have been many resources that have come out that if the United States stopped funding Israel, they would be significantly weaker than they are now. Anyways, I digress. Next point. In terms of the UCs and all the universities that partake in these protests, again, the UC, University of California website, has a whole page to how students helped end apartheid South Africa. Palestine is no different. And again, if we stop sending study abroad programs through divestment and boycotts and peaceful means of protest.
Protests have unfortunately made our just cause so terribly misrepresented. The pro-Hamas. Can I finish, please, without being constantly interrupted? Okay. Our cause has been so terribly misrepresented by pro-resistance slogans, Hamas flags, Hezbollah flags at a lot of these encampments, at a lot of these.
I disagree. We had a Shahada flag at a protest and they marketed it as Al-Qaeda flag, which is so wrong.
Within our lifetime, Nardine Kiswani, within our lifetime, literally is pro-Hamas, literally is pro the armed resistance narrative.
Why is she a representative for the entire movement? Why? There is not a single person that should be representative of the entire movement, and every Palestinian can agree.
Because she marches out there, she sends her goons out to attack somebody like myself, like other moderate Palestinians.
I don't want to argue about you getting attacked. I'm sorry that happens, but I want to talk about the status quo. The fact that so many people are now enlightened and are learning about
I go to Congress, not a single Congress, I live in D.C. The Palestinian cause so radioactive because of these terrible slogans, this divisive rhetoric coming out of these
holiday campaigns. It's the congressman's due diligence to look up and listen to their constituents. Voted out by majority.
Thank you. Nice to meet you. Thank you. I think the biggest objection that I have towards this narrative that things have gotten worse in terms of like perspectives towards Palestinians is that it's false. The perspective that I've seen from most Americans, especially towards Muslims, and especially towards the Palestinian cause, has been entirely defined by whatever Israel has put forward. Prior to October 7th, the only narrative that we ever got was people got killed, the United States and Israel puts forth their claim, it's disseminated out, people don't think about it. The perspective is so different now. I never in my life ever thought there would be an actual homegrown Palestinian movement in the United States that it is now. I think that I've seen so much grace, so much kindness, so much compassion for people that we would qualify as not having anything to do with the conflict overseas. And it's incredibly encouraging. And I've only ever met people in these encampments, people who care more about stopping violence than people who want horror to continue. People are right to be angry. People should be enraged. They should be incandescent with outrage. We have spent the last near 2 years seeing the horrors that this genocide has inflicted upon a small area that we could qualify as a concentration camp by an ethno-nationalist racist project propped up by the United States. That is why there's a protest movement among Western students, because we are culpable. We fund it. We send weapons over there. And we are outraged that on our name we share culpability for it. I didn't choose to send weapons to Israel in order to wipe out people who I never met. And I will do anything that I can to prevent that. I come from Mexico, my own country, right? There's femicide, there is violence against indigenous people, right?
I've left my country for years now, but I still feel rage over the mass murder that my government, the army, the cartel, and the hacienda owners do on the indigenous populations. And I feel very encouraged when people who have nothing to do with me feel the same exact pain. I would disregard your classification of Western protesters as enraged or as unjustly angry, because everyone should be mad. And I've seen so many changes in perspective from people who would not care because of the brave people that go out there every day at every university college campus. And they pay the price for it every day. Like you spoke about, the filming was raided by the LAPD SWAT team, who act as an occupation force in this city. The people who are most affected by it are trained by the IDF to act as an occupation force. My own city pays $1.6 million to be trained by the IDF to brutalize poor people, black people, brown people. We are not separate. This is not one person's struggle. This is everyone's struggle.
So I share your optimism about the potential for a really robust pro-Palestine activism movement that can really move the needle on this issue. And this is part of why I'm sharing this frustration with the devolution of what I felt was a unique opportunity, a once in a generation.
But I disagree because I believe that the politics of moderatism is the politics of mediocrity.
If I may, please. There was, historically, it was difficult to speak about, to have a genuinely pro-Palestine issue without facing some accusations, often false, of anti-Semitism. I believe that used to be the case. I think times have changed now, whereby I have sat in the middle of some of the most Zionist, pro-Israel spaces, where I have spoken about Hamas's crimes and Hamas's, excuse me, I'm coming to that. Hamas's crimes, Hamas's violence. But in the same vein, I have spoken about Netanyahu being a war criminal.
And Netanyahu is not the issue. An issue existed pre-existing that. It has been decades of supremacist system that upholds one ethnic group over the other.
For being a good custodian of the message that we in the diaspora have been entrusted with. And that is why I'm not saying every single protest is hateful. I'm not saying the act of protesting.
Putting forward the propaganda and the narrative that paints him as that.
You've been closed out. Please return to your seat.
Thank you. Nice to meet you, Aiden.
In your mind, what justified the protest?
I think if there is a social issue, if there is a political issue that people have a strong opinion about, they have a right to share their voice, their opposition, or their support for what is happening. What they don't have a right to do is to turn that protest into an opportunity to vector potentially other messages that I think are immensely unhelpful, such as, in order to support the people of Gaza, we need to bring down Western civilization on one extreme end, or in order to support the people of Gaza, we need to support by all means necessary for resistance, which is pro-Hamas.
Can you give me an example of an actual protest or an actual organization involved in protest that says that we need to bring down Western civilization?
You have a compilation and a collection of campus organizations throughout the last 18 months. You have, within our lifetime, I have seen with my own eyes, groups that I used to support who call for the rights of Native Americans, the rights of immigrant issues, all of which rights I support, somehow coalesce around this issue. And
okay,
through the
can I
lens...
interrupt? So there is no organization that calls for the downfall of Western civilization. The primary goal... The primary goal of organizing and protest with regard to Israel is to divest, because we do not want our money. By the way, it's our money, it's our taxpayer dollars, which gives us the right, no matter whether we're white, black, brown, it does not matter whether we're gay or straight, we have the right to decide where our taxpayer dollars go. So as I respect your identity as a Palestinian, I think you absolutely have a right to talk about who you want to lead your people. But when you say that people of other cultures are sucking the oxygen out of the pro-Palestine movement because we're not Palestinian, it is actually our right as Americans to decide where our taxpayer dollars go. And when peaceful protests don't do anything, or when, as you say, happy protests, not angry protests, when the government doesn't put pressure...
I did not say happy protests, by the way.
Okay, not angry protests. Where do we go? Where do we go when the protests don't do anything and when our government doesn't listen to us?
We build broader coalitions. We talk to the other side of this issue. They're right across from us. We go to Hillel. We go to Chabad. We talk to the very...
Hillel supports the genocide in Gaza. We cannot make a coalition with people who support genocide.
We talk to them and we find the slightest of common ground where this is not a relationship that is characterized by constant fighting, but this can achieve us the win of...
No, I'm sorry. I agree that we should find common ground with people who share our values. I do not agree that we should find common ground with people who support a genocide. That's unacceptable.
Make peace with your enemies, not with your friends.
No, we do not make peace with people who are murdering children, who are literally doing systemic rape in prisons in Israel to hostages who have not been held trial. We do not support people who want to fund the targeting of medical personnel.
The people of Gaza are paying the price of the very strategy that you are promulgating. The people of Gaza, Gaza are paying the price.
I'm sorry. Peaceful. No, you're wrong. You have just said that peaceful protest has led to the death of 50,000 Palestinians in Gaza. That's what you just said.
Yes, because the protests could have built a compelling coalition that could have actually led to a ceasefire, could have called Hamas out instead of celebrating October 7th, instead of putting paraglider images and putting, by all means, in the upside down triangle on Twitter bios. They could have actually separated the Palestinian issue from Hamas. Aiden,
you are more concerned. You are more concerned with upside down triangles on Twitter than a genocide. There is no middle ground with people who are more concerned with upside down triangles than children dying.
You are more concerned
than
with
people burning alive.
And sloganeer. Not you per se. I don't care about slogans. I care about dead Palestinians. And God, I want to stop that at all costs.
Great. So join the protest to divest it from Israel. Join the protest.
Thank you. My next claim is being pro-Palestine necessitates accepting a free Palestine side by side next to Israel. How you doing, brother? Nice to meet you. Thank you.
First, I'm Filipino, okay? I know I'm miscellaneous brown, but I'm Filipino.
You're just as important as any other human being.
Dropping a pin. Southeast, 200 meters. To the sky!
Allied destroyer joining squadron, deploying Helldiver to combat zone.
Never mind. Requesting air support! Tagging map, west, 300 meters. Orbital inbound! Affirmative. How'd you like to chase all freedom? Dropping it in, southwest, 100 meters. To the sky. Requesting tac pack. Dropping item. Reinforcing. Requesting orbital. Requesting sentry. Not today! Calling in reinforcements! Mag's empty.
Reinforcements have been launched.
Mag's empty! New mag! Calling down a sentry! Calling down a sentry! Reloading. We've got equipment.
You've done your duty. You may extract with honor.
Tagging map. Dropping a 10. Northeast. Far. Enemy. Dropping a 10. Far. Tagging map. support. You're back. down support weapon. Requesting tactical.
Deploying equipment package.
Calling in reinforcements. Helldiver, reporting to the front. There's something here. Got a sample. Dropping a pin. Northeast, 100 meters. Marking location. Enemy patrol. Northwest.
Allied destroyer joining squadron, deploying Helldiver to combat zone.
Calling down support weapon. You will never destroy our way of life! Calling down a walker. Calling down a sentry. Sending in an eagle. For prosperity.
Allied destroyer joining squadron, deploying Helldiver.
Orbital inbound. Requesting air support. Calling down support weapon. Democracy needs me. Reloading. Tagging map, west, 300 meters.
Dropping a pin. Tagging map.
Freedom never rests!
Unleashing democracy.
Allied destroyer joining squadron. Deploying Helldiver to combat zone.
Get
Sub-objective near your location.
Calling down a sentry. Requesting tap pack. Requesting advanced weaponry.
Allied destroyer joining squadron. Deploying Helldiver to combat zone.
Northeast, 100 meters.
new mag!
Requesting advanced weaponry. Requesting sentry.
Mag's empty! Dropping a pin, north, 200 meters. Tagging map, east, far.
Mission at 30 minutes remaining.
Found something.
Main objective nearby. through to reinforcements on the way.
Helldiver report! Pneumatic! Engaging terminal!
Don't you like to see some freedom?
Another step toward galactic liberation. You may extract when ready.
Tagging map, north, 200 meters.
Dropping a pin. North, 200 meters.
Tagging location. North.
Tagging map, west, far. Dropping a pin, west, 200 meters.
Orbital inbound. Found something.
Tagging map. Northwest, 200 meters.
Calling down a sentry.
Live body.
Requesting sentry.
Sending in an eagle! Requesting air support. Northwest.
Calling down a sentry. Requesting air support.
Orbital inbound. Requesting orbital.
Mission at 20 minutes remaining.
Southwest. Reinforcing.
Request approved. Reinforcements have been launched.
Ready to liberate.
Vehicle.
Requesting
Dropping
sentry.
in 10. Northwest. 50 meters. Vehicle. Dropping in 10. Last reload! Tagging map. East. 300 meters. Last reload!
You may proceed to extraction when ready.
Sending in an eagle. Calling in reinforcements.
Request approved. Reinforcements have been launched.
Helldiver, reporting to the front! New mag!
Sending down equipment package.
Requesting advanced weaponry! Sending in an eagle! Say hello to democracy!
Requesting air support.
Tagging map. East. 100 meters.
Tagging map. Southwest, 200 meters.
Reloading! Requesting orbital! Requesting air support!
Extraction shuttle inbound.
Got a sample! Requesting tac pack! New mag! Rare sample collected!
T-minus 2 minutes. Allied destroyer leaving squadron.
New mag!
ETA T-minus 1 minute and 30 seconds.
Pulling down a sentry!
ETA T-minus 1 minute. Allied destroyer joining squadron, deploying Helldiver to combat zone. ETA T-minus 30 seconds. ETA T-minus 20 seconds. ETA T-minus 10 seconds. Clear landing zone.
Pelican 1 approaching pickup. Pelican 1 landing sequence initiated. Watch where you're standing.
Sending in an eagle.
Pelican 1 preparing to depart. Shuttle launch in 20 seconds.
Reinforcement budget depleted.
Extraction complete. Pelican 1 beginning ascent.